The other part of what we're doing that I think strongly connects to Nate Silver's book is we're trying to use our understanding of past climate to better predict the future. So in one of the latter chapters on climate change, he talks about several of the guiding uncertainties, one of which is scenario uncertainty, which I've indicated with this graph that has very colorful lines, and we have basically 4 different scenarios for how greenhouse gases may change over the future. We don't know which one will hold, but there are 4 different scenarios that complicates the prediction of future climate. If we go to the next page, we have an illustration of what we call structural uncertainty. That is, how does the climate system behave? What does it respond to? And what we've shown here is the 2 driving factors for climate change are how much anthropogenic aerosols, little particles that are in the atmosphere, they're sulfur particles, how much they cool climate, and that is discussed in the book, versus how strong of feedback we have in the climate system. That's also discussed in the book, the cloud and water vapor feedback. And what we see by the ellipse in this plot is that there's a range of these model parameters that provide nearly equally good representation of the past climate. And since we don't know which of these parameters is correct, we have an inherent uncertainty in predicting future climate. That's reflected in this histogram, which shows the probability that temperature will rise by a certain amount at the time carbon dioxide doubles. And what we see there is that it's likely to be between 1 and 2 degrees. It's highly unlikely to be between 2 degrees. And so we've provided a guide on the uncertainty in the prediction of future climate. And the difficulty that we have, which is outlined in the book, is the IPCC tends to not deal with the structural uncertainty in the climate forecast. They deal mainly with the scenario uncertainty. And for a given scenario, all the models tend to give a similar prediction of future climate, and we see that when we look deep into the climate models, now this is digging really deep into the weeds. What we see when we do that is that although there are nominally about 20 different climate models used in the IPCC forecasts, they make many of the same assumptions and use some of the same computer code. For example, they generally use the same computer code to model what we call ocean heat uptake. And so we've identified this as a potential problem in relying on the models and the big models alone for doing climate forecasts. So I think there's really great resonance between Nate Silver's book and the field of climate prediction and forecast.